So you wanna be a better warrior, huh? Well, that means you want control, and not that kinky kind of stuff. You want to be able to control the battlefield. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 simple ways on how you can improve your warrior gameplay and improve your performance in your next game.
Why am I dying so much? And I can't even kill anyone.
If that sounds like you after your warrior games, you're in the right place. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first way you can become a better warrior player in Smite is to understand and accept the warrior's mentality. Now, this is different than guardians, assassins, or hunters, or even mages, because those roles are relatively defined. A warrior is like a brawler. It's somebody who's in the fight, but not taking all the damage, not dishing out all the damage. It's somewhere in between, and it's very hard to put an exact label on what a warrior does. Now, I'm going to give you some fine points on what you should be aiming to do as a warrior, but again, a lot of the rules I'll actually talk about discuss this process of being malleable, being flexible as a warrior, because you aren't the exact role. You're not the hyper carry, you're not the guardian, you're not even the mage with the area damage. You're something in between all of those, and you have to find a way to balance it out and be effective in your team. See, the goal of the warrior is to be in the midst of a fight, whether they're initiating or coming in right after the guardian blink freezes or something of that nature. Warriors are there to insist themselves onto characters in the back line and cause ruckus. The best way I can describe it is a disruptor, like an EMP. Everything is working fine, and all of a sudden you get a blast that knocks all electronics out. In this day and age, that would disrupt everything you're doing, your work, your plans. You would have to change things alternately, and that's what a warrior can do to the back line of an enemy's team. It can disrupt the entire plan because they have to adjust. They cannot let this tanky yet damaging character continue to wail on them, and their guardian and all of the other characters have to switch their attention to handle this threat immediately. As you can imagine, this buys some great time for your team to regroup, reposition, or apply some pressure onto the enemy team when they're busy with you. And even if you haven't killed someone, you've created a space, an opening, an opportunity for your teammates to do what they need to do, considering they're going to be having more damage than you. It's important to note that as a warrior, you do damage, but you don't do enough to be a hyper carry. That's the biggest problem with warriors. You can't carry a game by yourself. You have to fight with your team, and we'll get into that in some of the later ways to be a better warrior. But most importantly, in terms of your mentality, you have to keep that in mind at all times. Now, everything I've said up to now is very important, but the overall message I want to get across to you, all of these viewers looking to be a better warrior, is this: the warrior's mentality should be the mentality of a jack of all trades. You can do damage, you have CC, you can survive a little bit, but you're not the king or queen of any of those fields. Even though everyone can do something better than you can do it, remember that you as a warrior can do everything better than any other class, so use that flexibility as a strength. You're that all-around type character. You're Ryu from Street Fighter.
Hafitzifugen! Hafitzifugen!
And as a good warrior, you need to embrace that. Whether it's your offense, your defense, or your ability to crowd control an opponent, your ability to be successful as a warrior is highly determined by your capability of recognizing a situation and being able to bring what you offer to that moment. Now, this leads me to my number 2 way to be a better warrior in Smite, and that is to learn to be water, my friend. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, it can drip, or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Shout out to one of my favorite mentors in life and athletics, Bruce Lee, for that quote. Now, Bruce Lee is a famous martial artist. He's known for his dragon kicks, and in fact, Mercury has a Bruce Lee skin with that yellow jumpsuit and those nunchucks. The idea from this quote, which is from The Way of the Intercepting Fist, or Jeet Kune Do, what he's very famous for teaching, is that when you are formless, when you are water, that means you are malleable to every situation. And as a warrior with so many different traits, you have to bring that same mentality into your gameplay in Smite to be a better player. I can't tell you how many times I've played Bellona and tried to aggressively rush a team that was just countering my rush and killing me every single time I did so. And the problem was, in that game, I wasn't flowing. I wasn't using the ability for Bellona to counter initiate, to be able to pick off people once they've gotten into a bad spot, use their escape, and then continue bashing on them while my teammates now have some great peel to get into good positions to finish them off. I was going in trying to do everything myself using the insane damage Bellona has to try and create openings, but the truth is that's not what was needed from me in that game. I wasn't flowing, I wasn't water, I was rigid, and that is what will happen in warrior games. You'll try and play a warrior one way, and if it doesn't work, you'll say that you can't play warriors. The truth is you need to be more flexible with what your warrior can do for your team in that moment. Now, if you're used to being a hyper carrier, playing more of an offensive role aside from a guardian, when you pick up a warrior, you're most likely going to want to crash. You're going to want to be that wave of thunderous damage that is just so overwhelming because of your defense and crowd control that you basically wipe the entire enemy team by yourself. And don't get me wrong, warriors when they get ahead can do that, but when we're talking about being even or just starting the game, one of the most important things as a warrior in my opinion is to learn to drip.
To drip? What is that supposed to mean, Raynday? Is this some kind of joke? I want to learn how to play warriors. I don't want to learn how to spill my milk.
Yes, despite what you may think, dripping is good. Not on your clothing when you need to go out that night and impress the ladies, but when you're playing Smite, slowly making sure your presence is felt. Not doing too much, but being a nuisance. Slowly staying involved in the game until you pick the right moment to crash can be extremely effective, not only in applying pressure, but making sure that you are able to be in the best position to apply that damage, that defense, and that CC when they can't handle it. They, this mysterious they, who are they? Where do they come from? Do they see us? Are they watching us while we sleep? The they you need to be worried about as a warrior is the enemy squishies. Just like an assassin, as a warrior, you don't want to spend your time slapping around a Hercules or Guan Yu. It's just not going to make any difference. They're too tanky. You do damage, but not enough damage to damage a tanky character. You do a ton of damage to squishies, however, and their crowd control can put them in such a bad position that your team can follow up and kill them relatively easily. That leads me to my number 3 rule on how to be a better warrior, and that is scissors beats paper, but rock beats scissors. Now you may be saying, wow, that's stupid, that's really abstract, I have no idea what you're talking about, and that's the point. It's the metaphor I'll be making regarding your selection of targets as a warrior. See, your CC, your damage, your defense, it means something, but it only means something if you're rock versus scissors. Is this making sense to you guys? What I'm really saying is that if you use a fearless combo, or if you go in as Guan Yu and start a Talu assault onto a squishy character, you're going to do an extremely high amount of damage, crowd control them to the point where they're going to have to flee from the fight and start running, and you're going to have done your job. But if you do that to a Hercules or a Bellona or any of these warriors or guardians that are building very tanky, you're not going to have any effect, and that backline is going to be free to damage you and damage your other players. Your selection of the right targets can make all of the difference, and the utilization of your damage and crowd control onto those targets can swing a team fight in your team's favor. Now here's the beauty. You know you're a rock, and you know who are the scissors and who are the paper in your matchups. You can look at it before the game, check out who you should be focusing. In many games, I've actually looked with my team and said, listen, I'm taking out this op watch, I'm taking out this character, I will focus this person because they cannot withstand me and they are killing all of you, and at the end of the day that can make all the difference. On to the number 4 way of how to be a better warrior in Smite. Choose the correct warrior for the correct scenario. Now, how do I do this? Well, one of the ways to do this is to know what every warrior does. Play some games with each warrior and understand the effects that they have on the game. It's important to understand that when you pick a warrior like Guan Yu, he's going to have a completely different impact on the team and the team fight than a Ravana. Whilst Guan Yu provides some great healing, some very nice crowd control with his slows and rips protections off from players, but also with his ultimate can chase down fleeing opponents or initiate very well and have a group stun that can be followed up by a lot of teammates very safely, Ravana is more of a single target damage dealer. He's more of a I'll catch you in a bad spot, root you, slow you, and make sure that you can't get out. I'm also very survivable, so it's going to be hard to kill me and I'll be a pest throughout the entire fight. But they have 2 different roles that they play. Roles on roles on roles, plans on plans on plans. Warriors are different depending on which character you select within that class, so be sure to understand what each one one does and what they bring to the table. If you don't have a Guardian, maybe that Guan Yu choice might be more effective because he can help initiate a team fight a little better than Ravana. But if you already have somebody like an Amir or maybe even an Athena and you have that great initiation, you may go for a Ravana for the more single target pressure on some of their more dangerous squishies. There's a reason picks and bans are so important in MOBAs, and that's because the right team composition can be deadly. It can make sure that you have a better chance of winning than the other team, and so picking the correct warrior for what your team has to offer and what your strategy is will help net you more successful warrior games. Now this is almost where we leave each other. Unfortunately, this video is coming to an end, but not before I get to my number 5 way to be a better warrior, which is extremely important. But before I do say that, if you do enjoy these videos, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel here at Raynday Gaming for the next ones and to support this type of content becoming more popular in not only the Smite, but the gaming community. And in honor of my new affiliation with Audible, as a thanks for watching this video, anybody watching right now can click the link down below in the description and get a free audiobook and support me. Now, there are so many other rules I would have loved to include in this video, but alas, this is a top 5, not a top 7, a 10, or 12, so I'll have to leave it with this. But my final way to become a better warrior in Smite is to understand that defense and cooldown reduction are your damage. Now, this is very important. One of the biggest flaws I see when people build warriors is they try to build them with damage. They try to build them with offensive items, and they lose out on what makes warriors great. Their ability to have strong ability pressure, to poke people out, to control a fight, and have those abilities up very often. But not only that, it's their ability to survive. Warriors are not meant to go out in a blaze of glory. They're meant to be there for the entire fight. They're meant to be brawling while everything's going on in the thick of the action, and if you can't survive, then you won't be doing much damage anyway. One of the best things that ever happened to me when learning to play warriors was to realize this fact. If I could stay alive and be a constant pressure and force of damage, I'm going to be doing my job much better than if I basically try to kamikaze in and kill someone in the back line but get blown up before I have any impact. And just think about it, isn't it that Hercules that can't die, that Bellona that always gets away, that Guan Yu that seems to heal so many times within the course of one team fight? Aren't those the most annoying and most successful warriors you play against? Now for gods like Bellona, Amaterasu, or Osiris, those gods who have the ability to be dangerous in terms of a basic auto attack chain, you may want to look at picking up some items that assist them in that, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't still build them and focus on cooldown reduction and health and defense, because their abilities are still going to be a tide changer in the fight, and their ability to stay alive is going to be even more important. Being a warrior ain't easy, and it's something you're going to have to learn on your own through practice and watching videos like this and professional players who you aspire to play like in the future. One of the best things I could suggest is just going out and trying, being persistent, like that warrior who won't die and just keeps wailing on you until your life bar is from 100 to 0. Be that in your own life. Take this as a task that you want to complete, and whether it takes a week, a month, or even a year, know that your play will improve and one day be at the level that you want. Apply this to your life, and any goal that you want to reach will be reachable. Remember, failure is only a result of you stopping. Keep on going, keep digging, keep fighting. Be that warrior in your life and in Smite, and all will turn out well. Thanks so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and if you did enjoy this, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for How to Be a Better Mage coming out in the next part of this series, and of course, as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you guys next time.